Hi, everybody. I'm back again for another constitutional talk. Today, I'd like to talk about the New York delegation to the Constitutional Convention. You know, when they first started the Constitutional Convention and ordered the meeting, it was to pass amendments to the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was our first constitution. New York chose to send three men. He sent Robert Yates, who eventually became the Chief Justice of the New York State Court. He said he sent John Ten Lansing Jr., who was an attorney and eventually became Associate Chief Justice of the New York Supreme Court. Both these men were avid anti-federalists, and they were sent as kind of a counterweight against Alexander Hamilton, who was a strong federalist. And when you got into the Constitutional Convention, you only had one vote statewide. So they all served for quite a while, and the three different plans were discussed while they were there. Yates and Hamilton both were keeping minutes, as was Madison and a number of the others. Yates stopped taking notes on July 5th. It was September when the convention ended. By the 10th, Yates and Lansing Jr. decided they were going to leave the convention because they were unhappy with having a whole new constitution written, which is why they're not here in our painting. Robert Morris, who was over here seated, he was offered the position of Treasury in our new government, and he turned it down. And he thought that Hamilton would do a better job, and Hamilton was our New York delegate. Right here's Hamilton to the right of Franklin. He was a brilliant financial wizard. He wasn't as wealthy as Mr. Morris of Pennsylvania, but he suggested Hamilton for Treasury Secretary, and Hamilton took that job. And in the first administration, we have the great tiff, I guess we could say, the great feud argument between Hamilton and Jefferson. They just didn't see eye to eye. But getting back to our three delegates, Hamilton, Yates, and Lansing. Yates and Lansing left on July 10th. They were disgusted with the idea of a whole new constitution. They were really happy with the sovereignty of each state. And so they just didn't want a new system. They spent most of their time trying to find improvements to the articles, debating what was going on. And once in June, when the New Jersey plan came down and that failed, they knew it was over for their side, and they left. Yates went back home. He served in the ratifying convention, fighting against the Constitution. He wrote pamphlets arguing against ratification. He was really a devout anti-federalist of the day. He ran for governor against George Clinton and lost. He was an anti-federalist as well. But then he ran against John Jay. John Jay, if you remember, was one of the authors of the Federalist Papers. So he was a real hard Federalist. The fact that he left and didn't sign did weigh heavy on his career. When it got to the end of the convention, it got to be late August, early September, and the news came that it was going to be over. And both Yates and Lansing decided they were going to go back to the convention and cast no votes for New York because they could overrun Hamilton because there were only the three of them. But by the time they got there, the convention was over and it had broken up. Just thought you'd like a little take on some of the reasons some of these people didn't stay. You started with 55 delegates, and here we have 40 pictured here because only 40 signed. And here's a reason why 2 didn't. They'd left because they were opposed to it. There were other great dissenters that stayed right till the end. There were 3 of them. Gary, for instance, famous for gerrymandering. He fought it right to the end, and his career was ruined. He was concerned about a civil war in Massachusetts, citing 2 political parties that were so diametrically opposed that he was worried if he cited bloodshed would happen. But he had a lot of reasons, and maybe he was just trying to find a way to stay in opposition because he didn't like the direction of Madison's Constitution. Madison was the one that wrote up the outline. It was presented by Randolph from Virginia, but that's basically the Constitution we have today. So all of these delegations weren't all in agreement. All these men weren't all in agreement, but by the end they were pretty much all in agreement because the opposition had left for one reason or another. Some of them were just there and got sick and went home, or there were other reasons. And these 2 men were so opposed to what was going on, they decided to leave. I thought you'd find that interesting. And I hope you have a good day, and we'll see you again for the next Constitution Talk. Thank you very much. You have a good day now.